Good morning. Good morning. This is Game Tactical Tuesday. It is great to see you all once again. You know, we had an amazing week last week. So in our world and our organization, we've got a real estate team. We also run the biggest agent-led investor network in the country called Grid. So everyone was in town. In Knoxville, we had our fourth anniversary. Tons of energy. There's power in proximity, right? There's power in community. And so, really excited, right? Today, we're joined by Rob Chevez. And so, Rob is a realtor, Rob is an investor. Rob is been going on a leadership journey for a long time, right? So, a lot of the frameworks we talk about here and gain and these seven levels of freedom. And we were talking about this, last night. Like yesterday, we had a great talk where you think you're going on this journey and it's about real estate sales, and no one tells you really it's like this personal development, organizational leadership journey, right? And I think in that framework, in that world, if you are a relational person who's interested in investing, I think Rob is arguably the very best at that. If you believe, that relationships will take you places that money never will, right? That there's power in people, that the way to get what you want is by helping other people achieve their goals. Like Rob's really built some frameworks, and it's really shapes everything we do here, right? Give, 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 pour into other people here, provide overwhelming value. Those are all just frameworks we developed here and working with Rob. So Drew, really excited to have Rob on here. I know you've been in his world too, because Rob is up in Northern Virginia in Reston. Drew, what am I missing? What are you excited about today? What are we going to be talking about?
I'm not just saying that because he's right here, but most of the time when Rob speaks, I listen. I'm super excited to open up my ears and listen to what he has to say. I think this is an amazing topic. I'm ready to get fired up. It's kind of crappy that we only got 45 minutes to listen, so we might want to jump to it.
Let's
Let's do
jump.
it. Let's do it.
I
Let's
love it.
jump right into it. Okay, I'll tell you how this came about. And I've got a little slideshow. There's 13 slides. Like I don't want to slide anybody to death, but I think, some visual images are always powerful. But I'll start with a quick story. So I, I see I see this thing in my calendar. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I've got this, I'm supposed to be at this event. I have no idea what this event is about. My assistant had put me on this event. At some point, I had agreed to this particular event. And, uh, like, I don't know, you can ask my wife. I'm always like looking at things maybe an hour before they're supposed to happen. And I'm like, okay, what's this about? And I realize this is 400, I'm speaking to 400 business owners in about an hour. And I'm like, what? How did I how did I get on this panel? Right? I'm looking at this panel. Somebody has sold a $100 million company. Another one just sold an $80 million company. Then there was me. Then there was a guy that had started as a as a waiter and now owned like 10 pizza franchises, and he was scaling his franchise. I was like, this is going to be a lot of fun, right? And this was the Fairfax County Small Business Administration. And they every year they put together an event where they empower small business owners and coach them and train them and develop them. And I'm like, this is fun. This is right up my alley. And I got there. The panel was fantastic. I built relationships with all the people that were on that panel. We've all agreed to go out to dinner. And I started thinking about how powerful it is, like you said, Justin, put yourself in proximity of business owners and how I've done that throughout my entire career. And I want to show you guys how I've done that throughout my entire career. And and some of the strategies I've used to build my database, because this is a database building exercise. And I want to show you why there's power in this. So let me share my very quick slides. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Okay. So today's topic, win big with business owners. Okay, business owners. Oh, hang on one second. Why won't this let me? Oh, there we go. Okay, here's why I like working with business owners. Business owners are easy to find, right? When you start thinking about working with business owners, there's so many business owners all around you. And let me just, I knew I'd skipped one. Um, there's business owners like all around you. Okay. And I started doing a little bit of research about the zone. In our world, when we talk about niches, we talk about zoning a market. And I started asking myself, how many businesses are out there? And what does a small business actually encompass? So take a look at this. Definition of a small business is having less than 500 employees. Now go down to where you see the map of the US. Can anybody read what that says? How many small businesses are do not have an employee? Look at that. What does that say? Let's make this a little interactive. See if you're paying attention.
82%.
82%. Think about that. Of small business owners in the US don't have any employees. And then there's 18% in the entire country that have employees. Now let's dig into this a little bit further. Look at where demographics of business owners. Women, you're badasses. Look at that. The majority of businesses are women-owned businesses. That's pretty cool, right? And so you start saying, look at the size of this market. There's 33 million small businesses in the US. And in your backyard, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of businesses. In our DMV area, there's so many business owners. In Reston alone, there's thousands of businesses just in Reston, right? So how do we find them? Well, they're pretty easy to find, right? You find business owners who are running their own meetup groups. You find them at chambers of commerce. You find them at networking events. There's tons of business mixers. Banks put on business mixers all the time. Google businesses. You go to a local BNI, Business Networking International. There's a whole community that's been built around business owners. They are easy to find. And what I like about business owners that are easy to find is like that means they're easy to target. They're easy to zone, right? So I asked myself as I started thinking about working with business owners and being purposeful with business owners is like, what do business owners want, right? Hint, it's the same thing that you want. What is that? Somebody guess what that is. Next slide. What is it?
More business.
Clients,
Yeah,
right?
more business.
Business
Right.
owners want clients. Pretty simple. You want clients, they want clients. You guys have a shared common interest. Okay. So, Justin, you open this up without like fully understanding what I'm writing here. Like, if you help them get what they want, you'll get what you want. It's that simple. If you help other people get what they want, you will get what you want. And there's three ways that we can do this with business owners. Help them get exposure. Businesses want exposure. You can do this through podcast. You could do this by doing neighborhood videos of businesses. You could do this by shouting them out in newsletters. You guys get it, right? They want exposure. Every business wants marketing exposure, especially if it's kind of for free. The second thing they want is they want connections. They realize that this is a database building game and they want connections. So be the connector. And the third thing that business owners want is that they want knowledge. Like help them build a better business. I remember, Drew, like years ago after I had read the Red Book. And for those that have not read the Red Book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, I would highly encourage you to read that book, right? Um, Such a great book because what I realized when I read that book and I went through it multiple times from beginning to end, back to back, beginning to end, back to back, was that the book was not really a book about real estate. It was a business book. It was about building a service-based business. And when I understood the models and frameworks in that book, I realized that I now knew more than 99% of those 33 million businesses that were out there, that are out there. Like I knew more about business by reading that one book, right? About creating systems and models within their business. And it gave me a lot of confidence to talk to business owners, especially as I started building our business around those models and frameworks, right? So let's cover some of the different things that we've done within our playbook. So I want to give you real world tangible examples of how I've done this in the past and how I continue to do this today, right? We would do neighborhood spotlight business owner videos. We'd go into a business, we would create content and media around that business. And it was funny because Kim was my videographer, my wife, my lovely wife, Kim is on here. She would go in and I said, babe, this was 6 years ago when we were doing this. It feels like yesterday. It's a little mind blowing, but it feels like yesterday. And every time, guys, I did a video with a business owner, guess what came out of it? Anybody?
Business.
Business came out of it. I, why? Because you start building social currency with people. They see that you're here being an advocate for them. You get to build a relationship with them. And in doing so, they want to create an exchange in value. And that exchange in value normally is like, well, Rob, how can I help you? This is awesome, right? Like, thank you so much for promoting my small local business. I appreciate you, right? This play absolutely works, right? Here's another way to do it. Podcast. It's the same play, right? The same play. It doesn't require as much physical work as what Kim and I would have to like drive to the location with the videos. We'd have to mic everybody up. We would then create video, edit that video, post that video. I mean, it's a production, right? To do that. With a podcast, you can use a tool like Riverside, right? Or even Zoom and create a podcast very easily. Podcast does the same thing. It's about getting into relationship with people, right? Because there's proximity in being partnered with other business owners. Here's one we're about to do, right? And launch Entrepreneur Business Breakfast Club. So my wife runs a local small business that does financial coaching for small business owners like agents and investors and other small business owners. I was like, babe, just execute this play. I have a old meetup that was dormant because years ago I had started a business meetup group where I would have a roundtable of business owners similar to a BNI, and every month we would meet and we would do like exchange business, right? And build relationships. I was like, let's just resurrect this thing and call it Entrepreneur Breakfast Club and do it in the morning and serve bagels and coffees and bring small business owners together to create what we have done at scale in building community through grid, right? You could see like this one's got over 1,000 reviews. Think about that, over 1,000 reviews. We've run this play for a long time. And by the way, every person in that room that shows up is voting to be a business owner, right? When you start investing, you're a freaking business owner. You own an asset, you're a business owner, right? So I want you guys to understand you reach them by starting these things or joining these things. Okay. So some final thoughts about business owners, and then what I want to do is make it kind of like a collaboration discussion, right? Business owners, they get the referral game. They totally get the referral game, right? You could create social currency with a business owner, and then you could be like, hey, who do you know that might benefit from what I do? And they would, Justin, how many times have you opened up your Rolodex to other business owners like agents are business owners, right? Think about that. How many times have you opened up your Rolodex to people, right?
I we ran this play, started running this play years ago, like 2019, because here's this other thing we haven't talked about, which is great, is when you do this, when you're doing those videos, you know whose audience I get in front of? Every single small business owner's audience. Now I've
100%.
just, right? It's mutually beneficial. So I've put myself in front of all of these other people who like support the small business, see me supporting the small business. We have shared values. Yeah, no, I've been running this play for years and years and years. Help people get what they want.
Yeah. Business owners understand the value of good advice, right? For the most part, I don't get nickeled and dimed by business owners. They understand, like they're busy. They want a professional to execute the play, right? Business owners have money, like the good ones have a lot of money. And guess what? They use that money and they buy investments, right? They're not a one-time buyer, they're a multiple buyer. And if you have a commercial division, not only are you helping them buy their single family home, you're helping them invest in a real estate asset. You might also help them lease space for their business. And if you don't have a commercial arm to it, you build a relationship with a commercial agent and you look at your database and you say, how many business owners do I actually have in my database? And by the way, if you haven't done that exercise, you should do that exercise because you have business owners in your database. So let's talk a little bit about business owners, right? Like they run construction companies, they run hairstyling um, salons, right? It's the dry cleaner, it's the bagel shop, it's the doctor, the lawyer, right? You guys get they're everywhere, and they need help with real estate too, right? Here's what I love about it. Business owners and you actually speak the same language. You guys are entrepreneurs. You guys have a shared connection, right? You guys have a shared connection. And business owners are the connectors in the community. Just like Justin was saying, kind of ended on that note. Their sphere is knows, likes, and trusts them. So this is a niche. This is a zone that some of you, it might resonate with some of you. Some of you might be, you know, have some limiting beliefs around that. So I want to open up this discussion around like these limiting beliefs that you might have about working with business owners, um, and answer any questions you have about scripting with business owners. What does it sound like to make that phone call to a business owner and ask them to do a video or to do a podcast? Or how do you set up and invest a meetup group for business owners? Or what is the rhythm around that? Or what's the value exchange around that? And anybody that knows me knows that in my heyday of building my database, I would stack business owners on a Thursday starting at 7:30 in the morning at Silver Diner and meet one business owner at 7:30, another at 8:30, another at 9:30, another at 10:30, and 11, another one at 11:30. And what I would do is I would connect them. As one came in, I would connect them with the next person coming in. And I would say, Kim, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. I have another meeting at 9:30. They're going to come here. And you know what? They run a development company. I'll make an introduction to you because they might need your service, right? And so I became what you would call a super connector in the community. And so our daughter always has the oh, everybody knows your dad type of thing that happens. She works at a hair salon, right? And people, she's like, Mom, Dad, everybody knows you guys. Yeah, because we became super connectors in our community. We're nodes and we created social currency by executing this play. So there might be somebody listening to this right now that's got some limiting beliefs about working with business owners. And I want to open it up for any questions about how to execute this play. So let me stop the share and let's now make this interactive. Drew.
Hey, Rob, I
Yep.
got it. So, newer agent, right? Why would a business owner want to work with a newer agent?
Yeah, a newer agent's going to feel like they're not worthy, right? Like, hey, I haven't built value, right? Here's why. Uh, why that, let me just dispel that myth, right? A business owner wants to just talk to people because they know that somebody that's out there that's hungry, that's talking to people, could talk about their business. So if you can actually paint yourself as somebody in their mind, as somebody that's in the community evangelizing business owners, as an experienced investor, like a business owner, I would want a young, hungry person that is out there spreading the message about our business. Does that make sense? So the value exchange is in energy, right? The other interesting thing about that is that business owners like to pour into other business owners. They just do. They just do. I think it's because business owners see the reflection of themselves in that like that budding business owner, and they want to help because they understand that the path is not always easy, right? So I find that people that are brave enough to reach out to me and like create energy exchange, I give them my time, right? I give them my time because I know that that person's going to go out and make it happen, right? So I want like a new person, it's actually your competitive um, weapon to be able to talk to a business owner and just say, "Hey, I'm networking with everybody in the community. I'm building my database. I'd love to learn more about what you do, Drew. On the off chance I run across somebody that's a good client for you. What does a good client look like for you?" Such a
I
simple
I
script.
love that. I love that. In my new agent coaching sessions, I always tell them if you go to a business, just ask the owner, what's one thing I can do to drive business your way, and watch their whole demeanor change.
100%. Like that, like Drew, that's it, right? What's like, it's all they want. What do they want? They want business, right? You're essentially saying, I want to help you make money. Can I help you make money? And
Yep.
like
And
a
it's
business,
usually reciprocated, right? Like usually after you've done something for a business, they're like, well, I owe them one. That's how we
yeah,
operate. We operate in the I owe you ones.
yeah, we call it social currency in our world.
Mhm.
And what we normally like to do is two deposits to one withdrawal. Let me give, then ask, right? It's a good framework for that.
I love that.
Yeah. Um, so,
Justin's on mute. I think he was trying to
Hey
say
Rob,
oh
something.
yeah.
I was having this realization because I was sitting here with Darnell Aponte yesterday. We're down in South Florida. We talk about farming a lot. And he was telling me he was helping some clients, and his mind's been kind of blown because there's all these orchards down here. So there's citrus. So like you think, oh man, they have this property and there's dragon fruit and mangoes and all of these other things. Orchards take a long time to develop, but it doesn't take a lot to run an orchard. You just harvest fruit during the growing season. You're not planting crops every single year. So sometimes with like business ownership, social currency, these things, like if you commit to going on the journey, if you burn the boats, if this is what you're doing, great. It's going to open the next door, open the next door, open the next door. You build this snowball momentum. If I
Yeah.
do this half-heartedly for 4 months, I got some great videos. I may not be getting this ROI on these things, like, but when I'm doing it, because it just opens this door where now I am a problem solver. I'm a strategist. I'm an right? I am an entrepreneur. How can I help you grow your business? Like now I can go, man, that media company I met. Well, I can go introduce them to Rob, who owns a small business, and you know what? Maybe now they're helping me create a little content. Like that's we're getting into a barter favor economy. That's when I started to have like, oh man, I have all of this social capital. I can get things done. I can get things done without money. And Ray True, I see Drew nodding. Like people pick up the phone when I call because they know I'm calling them to try to make their world better. Hey Rob, you should meet Drew. I bet if you collaborated, you could do all this. And then people ask you, right, Rob, right, Drew, hey, would you mind emceeing this? Would you mind being in the video with us? Would you mind? Right?
Yeah, it's interesting. If if you like, in my opinion, if you like business, if you enjoy the game of business, then this could be a niche or a vertical that you actually farm, right? What I realized was that many times when I was having breakfast at Silver Diner with these small business owners, what it really turned into was this collaborative coaching call, this little mini mastermind between myself and that business owner. It's like, well, how do you get clients? Right? Well, that's interesting. Like, what's your biggest challenge working with your bit in your business right now? It's like all the problems you're facing, they're also facing, right? And then what would happen is I would say, have you thought about using a media company to do this podcast? And they'd be like, no, I've never thought about that. I'm like, let me connect you with my guy, right? Let me connect you with my guy. And so um, I really enjoy working with small business owners. So it became a farm for me. By the way, guys, I didn't consciously do it. Does that make sense? Like it's being unconsciously incompetent for a long time. And then I became consciously competent about what I was like, oh, I seem to like to work with this niche, this person, and I like to pour into this person and they pour back and we do a lot of business together. Sharik, go ahead.
Good morning. You had mentioned limiting beliefs, and I think that one for many people is around like, what do I talk about? You know, we're talking about doing podcasts. Like, what do I talk about? How do I do that? How do I even get that started? Especially with the first one or two or three, like, usually like you have years of podcasts, right? But if I'm doing my first one or two, you know,
Yeah.
getting
Here,
that
here's
started.
yeah, that's a great question. Listen, when I sat with a business owner, when I sit with anybody, I'm just curious about them, right? How did you start this? Like, what gave you the idea to start this kind of business of all the different types of business that are out there? How did you pick this one? What was your story and journey around that? What's been the most challenging part of running this kind of business? What's been the greatest gift that you've had about running this kind of business, right? It's just about being curious with people. Hey, what does the next 5 years look like for you in this business? Are you in a phase where you want to continue to scale? Are you in a retirement phase? Do you want to do something different? Is this business not living up to what you wanted it to do? Are you sure it's the business that isn't living up to what you want it to do? Or maybe it's the way you think about the business, right? So curiosity, like about people. And by the way, you could do this with any human, right? It doesn't have to be a business owner. I just like that avatar, but it's the same conversation I would have with a teacher. It's the same conversation I would have with anybody, right? Um, but entrepreneurs, business owners like to, to talk about their origin story, right? So all I do is just get curious about their origin story, like deeply curious. Like, what was your childhood? What led you to this today, right? Were mom and dad like in the picture? You know, like I want to form a relationship with the person on the other side. So I'll just get incredibly curious about how they ended up where they're at right now. Um, and it'll be like, are you from this area originally? What brought you here? Right. I'll give you some of the questions, right? I'll be like, are you from this area originally? What brought you here? How did you decide to start this kind of business? Like, what's the biggest challenge that you face when running this business? Where are you currently in the business? How many employees you have, right? What's been your biggest, like, uh, or greatest, like, moment of, like, growth in the business? Just think about, like, all the things that you, as an entrepreneur, have faced and then you could literally turn and ask those questions of the person across from you. And so I don't think you have to be prepared or know more. You just have to be curious about other people. And here's what's crazy, Cherie. I ask people so many questions about themselves at breakfast or lunch. They did 90% of all the talking. And we would always end and they would say, "Oh my God, but what about you?" Like literally every meeting ended with like, "Well, what about you? Like, tell me more about you." And I'd be like, give them a high level, but say, "But listen, this is the beginning of our relationship. We've got lots of time to talk about me. Today was, I just wanted to learn about you, right?" How many times you go into a meeting and you just go, I want to tell you everything about me, my service, why I'm awesome. No, 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 no. This is about them, right? You're playing therapist too, guys. Yeah, Drew.
When they talk, you build rapport. Like when you talk, you lose rapport.
Yeah. Yeah. Just ask questions. Just stay curious. Right. So Cherie, thank you for asking that question because that is a limiting belief question. Like, what do I have to give? An ear.
Do you have a question, big dog?
I I just wanted to add to what Cherie was saying is also it doesn't necessarily have to be giving them something like a platform. For me, I started early in real estate and I was a Buffini guy, notes, calls, pop buys, cap items. And I really found that like the cap items were kind of meh. And so I would go to local businesses and ask them if they had like for a restaurant, what's your slowest day? Would you mind giving me some sort of coupon that I could put in with my cap items? Right. And I would drive business to them that way. And then it was a place that I frequented. So I'd come back and they'd be like, hey, we got 20 of your coupons here. Look, right. Auto body shop, my auto repair shop. Like I would say, hey, give my my clients when I put a newsletter together, give them a deal on an oil change.
Yeah,
And I
you
would
can
put
create
it
a
in my
VIP
newsletter.
program. You
Right.
can create a VIP program where you're driving your clients to their business. So let's think about this. You're driving your clients to their business and they're getting a benefit because they're in your world. That's a VIP program. That's awesome. Like build that right into this program. Um, I remember early in my career, my mentor when I was in college said, "Here are all the people that we spend money with. Go get their business." I was like, that was when I think about it, I'm like, oh, like he's essentially like he's paying them money, but he's going to get referrals and essentially pay for the service that he's paying them. I was like, that's brilliant. So my job was to call them, schedule an appointment for health insurance, right? Because that's what I was doing when I was in college with him. What did I know about health insurance? Like nothing, right? But I needed to get myself in front of them and win their business, right? So it's how do you look at that? That's another exercise. Look at all the people that you're spending money with, and then ask yourself, when was the last time they gave me a referral? You have permission to ask for a referral. You're paying them money. You say, hey, Justin, I love all the work you do for us, man. Would you do me a big favor? Like I am in a phase right now where I want to continue driving more business, and I'm looking to all of my partners, and you're one of my partners, to help me create additional business. Who do you know that might be able to help us? Right? Just a simple question. So that would be another one. VIP program would be another one. Actually creating uh, a very powerful that entrepreneur breakfast club idea. The reason why it works, guys, is because it's done monthly and it's farming. And you will bring in new businesses that want to grow their business all the time into that. And what you're going to do is create connections with those small local businesses. They're going to feel indebted to you, social currency. And then you're going to end up saying, hey, who's helping you with your house needs, your home needs? What's helping you? Who's helping you with your business needs? Like I'd love to apply for the job of helping you with your house, right? Or for the job of being a realtor, right? Whatever script you want. So it's a simple play, but it's just you got to, like you said, Justin, you just got to kind of be focused on it. It's another way to think about farming. I actually prefer that over tradition. Like, so I would pick Reston, all businesses, and make business owners my farm because business owners know people in that community and they're gonna send me business. Right? I prefer that way of form.
Here's some interesting things to think about. If you're on this call, you're likely an agent investor. It's something you want to do. Everybody who owns a small business is a potential investor. They should be investing. It's the same
100%.
kind of language, right? They're looking for opportunities. Uh, and here's the thing about all of this stuff is I spent so much time working as an employee for other people of kind of maximizing value and seeing what I could do and being creative without having the pressure of just selling. When I go talk to a business owner, it was like, well, what would I do if I ran a car wash? Well, what would I do if I ran a video store? What would I do? Right. And being, and you gotta like develop some skills and build some skills to the table. This is the way to speed run becoming a high level business consultant. If you're a realtor, one of the things that stood out to me, Rob, we were sitting in a room with Brett Tanner, from a great organization, right? And he said, if you're a realtor, you have the best education around small like business ownership of anyone in the country because you're an
100%.
expert at sales, you know how to run a P&L, you know how to
Marketing.
market,
Yeah.
network, prospect for a small business, you know how to
You guys are
negotiate. You
super business people.
Realtors are the best trained business people in the entire country because go meet a dentist, go meet a lawyer. No one tells them how to run a practice. They tell
Yeah,
them how to be a
right.
lawyer. They have no idea how to sign a lease or to go market their business. There's no training for that. We're subject matter experts on that at both like a entrepreneurial level and if you tap into your network at an enterprise level. We can hit
Here's
us up, we'll
here's
tell you, here's how you do it at scale.
here's another hack, guys. I started realizing that within a community that there was what I would call super connectors. Okay. Super connectors are the person that everybody in the community somehow seems to know, right? And then I was like, how do I become friends with the super connector? Right. That was, if I didn't know Justin, I'd be like, okay, Justin's a super connector. How do I become friends with this super connector? Because I know that unlocking that relationship unlocks 100 relationships for me. So I'd started paying attention to who was an activist in the community, right? And I was like, how can I put myself into proximity with that activist, become friends, and then earn their get to know them, like them, trust them, like vice versa, and then they would then refer you everybody, right? So find the super connectors in your community and then become the super connector in your community.
So the other thing that can be really effective when you're running that play and building that influence, Robert, I love what you've been sharing here, is you know,
Can I give you a
l-
script? I'm sorry.
please,
Just
please,
a
yeah.
script for the small business owner that should be investing. Like it's like the simplest call in the world, right? Um, I'd call you, Drew. Let's say we met at a BNI, or let's say we've had breakfast, right?
Okay.
Once, and I've listened to you. I might say, Drew, hey man, I was thinking about you today. It's Rob, by the way. I was thinking about you today. I enjoyed our breakfast so much, and it sounds like you built an incredible practice doing what you're doing. And the question I ask myself is, who's helping you buy real estate investments for your long-term net worth, right? Who's helping you with that? Is there anybody that's helping you, right?
Not doing that at the moment.
Right. And but everybody knows a realtor, or 100 of them. But how many realtors are actually making that phone call, right? You now separate yourself. Now you become, I realized that there was a point in my life where I became more than a realtor. I was their advisor, their real estate financial advisor, their consigliere, right? When it came to business. And they're like, no, my wife and I have been thinking about it, right? I'd be like, well, like let's grab coffee. Let's map that out. Let's make that a reality, right? Let's see what would it take in order to make that happen. right? I might say, Drew, how many kids do you have?
Uh, 16. I mean,
16 kids. Okay, here's the deal. 16 kids, 16 houses, bro. That's what we're doing. One house per kid. That's the goal, right? You name them,
yeah.
you name them the name of every house has a name of your child. I bought to this day, Kim's probably looking at me like wagging her finger at me because we bought a house for Isabella and then like that thing like we ended up killing that asset because it made us like $200,000 and we're like, let's sell it. I can't tell you where that money is today, right? Probably in other property. But if you actually just, if you're young enough right now listening to this call, you can buy a house and you can help your clients buy a house per child that they have and just say, hey, this is part of their college fund, right? You need to emotionally tap into people with that call.
But by the way, we had to make a business plan once to get to $25 million, a 25 million in net worth. Let's buy a house every year. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
That's it. That's that could be the entire business plan that you have. And it's like starting like at my age, 42. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
it's the math is shockingly simple if you hold some
If you could
assets
go
in
to a
20
business
years.
owner and be like, hey, this is what it looks like if you did this. Like what a easy intro call. Because essentially when you make that call, if I make that call to Drew and I'll just end it here and anybody else can ask questions. It's like, Drew, can I help you make money? Right? Like that's the call. That's essentially what you're saying. Can I help you make money? Would that be okay with you? And like, of course, like, yes, help me make money, right? Everybody wants that, right? They need that. And every small business owner, and here was a shocking, shocking thing. Um, and we had somebody yesterday on a leadership call say this, and this was really interesting. I'm tying these two things together right now. She said that uh, I forget that it was like 99% of realtors die with only the equity that they have in their house, something like that. Like that was the only thing they ever did was like if they bought a house, 84%. Okay. 84% only like that's the only piece of their net worth came from the purchase of their own home. So go buy our house because we'll start you there, right? But it's like that for small business owners as well, right? And I remember talking to a financial advisor when I was 24 years old, and he said, Rob, what we've noticed is that the majority of small business owners, all of the value of their business is in the building that they bought to house their business. Right? That's like when they went to go sell that business, what they were really selling was the real estate. And I was like, damn,
Mm.
right? I keep reminding myself of that because we haven't bought a damn thing for the business. So if anybody's out there, like we want to buy, right? Um, we bought a lot of real estate, just not specifically for the business. Yeah, that's right. Cool. Any other thoughts, limiting beliefs, new voices in here?
Yeah, I want to hear some. I know enough of you to know that you're getting ready to get ready, right? And while you're getting ready to get ready, the less competent of you are lapping you because dumb people have more confidence because they are less cognizant of their own mistakes. I am simplifying social science. That is true social science. Smart people have less confidence because they know they can see their own flaws. And what are you doing? What can you do today? What's the question you're not asking? What's the thing you're going to DM us afterwards? Let's talk about it right now. I already made a post. Go steal my post. I took a screenshot of Rob. I went in there and I asked everyone who's a business owner to tag themselves. I'm taking a poll. Help me out. Tag people you know are business owners.
Oh yeah. Hey, I want to spread the love of small business out there. How can I
I said,
help you
I'm
grow your small
curious. Who do I know
business?
that owns a small business? Then I was like, if you know someone, tag them.
Yeah. Give some love to a small business owner today, right? By the
Yeah.
way, so like this is a great book. It's on my desk right now, Traction, right? If you read this book, you'll be able to help any business owner out there. If you read the red book, you'd be able to help any business. This is an operating system for business owners. Like, how do you actually run a business that works for you instead of you working in it, right?
Julianne, let's add that to the spreadsheet. Let's just start. We have books every week. Let's just make a book list.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, and just get, gifting, by the way, like gifting a client a book on how to run their business is such a genuine gift from the heart, in my opinion, right? It's just like, hey, because every entrepreneur is searching for, every business owner is like, how do I get a little bit better? How do I make it work a little bit better? How do I make my machine a little bit better, right? The reason why I niched down from like business owners to investors, like builders, developers, investors, because that was like my niche, like big niche to smaller business owner niche, was just because I felt like I really had a lot of value to add there to that niche. But as I just full circle it back to that presentation I made in front of those 400 business owners, I realized how much money I was leaving on the table by not helping that small business owner build wealth through real estate. And it would just be a simple call to be like, who's helping you build wealth through real estate? Can I apply for the job of being that person for you? Right? Simple call.
I saw somebody, she comes to I have a 23-year-old Alexis Chapman in my market, and Alexis comes to every ribbon cutting. She takes pictures, great pictures. She makes a great social post. She has good energy. Now she ends up working like as a business development for a local insurance agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never met this insurance agent. We done a spot like, but she is at everything. She is a bigger reach. Now she's at a marketing company. It can be just that simple. Like, I'm like, great, thank you. Every time there's Alexis, there's me in front of people, there's her, and then people
She's
are
a node.
engaging.
She's a node. She's a
She
super connector,
she
right?
is the connector, she's the pollinator, like, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, oh, this is what I wanted to share, Rob. Here's a mindset hack. If you want to play this game at the highest level, how do I add more value to Rob than he adds to me? Rob sold 2 billion in real estate. Great. How do I add more value to Rob when I meet Rob? That's the fun game I play. I used to play when I go to business conferences. And by playing that game, it made me have to grow and meet bigger and bigger people where I could, like, I met someone like Rob, like, you should know this person.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
know this person.
The biggest way that you add value is through connections and relationships. But like that is the biggest way you add value to people, a business
And
owner.
it costs nothing. And I have done this when I have a negative net worth. I've done this when I'm like my sales. No one asks me, trust when I go and I'm like, hey Rob, you should meet so and so. You should meet Kim. She's amazing. You would have a lot to talk about. No one has ever asked me my credentials, my bona fides. Like
How
I
long
when
have you
I
been in the business? Yeah, no, because you're leading with
when
giving.
you ask people that, it unlocks, hey, how can I help you? And they're like, actually, I'm the VP, and it unlocks every door for you. Like it is that simple. May not be easy because you got to really grow and go do the work.
So very interesting, Justin. And then we'll end it like here. We were in Knoxville last week, and you coordinated dinner for everybody in the organization at Sticky Rice, right?
Yep.
And Sticky Rice, super popular. There's cars overflowing. Like it's a family-owned business, and it's mom and grandma and kids and all the family, like cooking and waiting tables and doing the whole thing. And it was ridiculously busy, ridiculously delicious. And at the end of the night, we had our own private room. At the end of the night, I'm paying the bill, and she and I are just talking. And, she just opened up. She's like, this is really hard, right? I got my mom cooking in the back, right? We expanded the business. When we expanded the business, it created a lot of complexity. They're at the stage in our 7 levels. Like I always filter, where is the bit, where are they? They're at this level 2 trying to move to level 3 in the business of making it an operational business to work for you instead of you working in it. And I was like, oh, I can help this lady, right? Like, let's help her, right? Let's help her. Uh, every business owner experiences that, right? And so that you could give the gift of giving her a book, hey, this book on traction or something to help her, Justin, build a better business so that it works for her instead of working in her, killing herself in it. Because she's killing herself in it. Like she was like, I'm exhausted. I don't know if this is worth it. I'm like reading behind I'm not really making more money than I was making before. We opened up a larger place. I just feel like I'm working more, right? And I was like, yep, I have been there. Like I know that feeling, and so that's how we can add value to their life.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, let's go add value to business owners' lives out there. You guys can actually really change people's lives. Right.
Appreciate you,
Thank you,
brother.
Rob.
Yeah, man. Thanks for
That
tuning
was
in.
awesome.
Take care. Bye-bye.